That guy's just had just missed two hands. Top right had king jack off, jammed all in, they folded, and bottom left had king jack as well. And the small blind limped, so I raised in the big blind and he just folded. I think I'm going to call. It's a bit risky here, but I think I'm going to call. I say it's a bit risky just because our hand's really trashy unless we flop two pair like this. I could have raised, but I did just raise this guy last hand, so and he's in position now. So I didn't want to be like out of position against a sort of sticky fishy guy with king high. Not going to flop very well. But I think given the price we were getting, I wasn't quite ready to fold it. And obviously now I'm going to try and build the pot. And I think he's going to call with any king, any 10, and a flush draw, and probably jack queen. We fill up. So that worked out well. I think top right just minning is definitely the way to go here. If I was a little bit more shallow, I would definitely jam. But I think at M6, we probably actually, well, do we? We probably actually do have a, wow, jam and then call, really? Yeah, we are not running good final tables. I think we can quite fold here. Well, it's kind of, well, I don't know if it's, what's the word I'm looking for? Not redemption. Consolation, any consolation? After losing the aces against, you know, a queen's there, but yeah, I mean, it does put us with a pretty good chip lead, and this is a bigger tournament, marginally. Actually, it's not that much bigger. I thought it was. This one is 1800 for first. Top 18 get paid. Yeah, very disappointing there. Both tables pretty sick. Ace is getting cracked, and the that was not as sick as the king 6 snap call. King 6 off, 4 players left. Yeah, that was a bit of a classic, I think. I did hesitate with the queen 9. I mean, ICM, it was such an easy jam, but I just kind of think, you know, this guy's a big fish. He's probably calling pretty wide. But at the end of the day, I mean, if we're not jamming it, we're going to find ourselves in the same spot, probably often, where we've got a marginal hand, and he's in the big blind. I mean, so we've got to take it while we can, and I think don't regret it, but yeah, he just happened to wake up with a really strong king 6. So what looked quite promising is, yeah, I mean, we've still got some stacks to play with. We're in the money here. And as I just pointed out, we are, what am I going to do here? We're well stacked here. And here as well. Average stack. This guy might jam pretty light here. We have some history now, and it kind of, I was hoping he might think that we interpreted his button open as just a any two type steal because the big blind was sitting out, but which it probably was, but he just didn't feel like jamming it, which is fair enough because we could have been snapping it off and he would look like a fish if he had a bad hand. And we haven't really been 3-betting that much. See if there's any little turbos around as well, I think. This guy's been tight. I knew once I said that he was jamming. Did you guys know that? As soon as I said this guy's been tight, I'm like, oh no, he's jamming, he's jamming. A couple of little turbos here. I'm going to start $16.50. Really big pools. So again, just going to load them up and, you know, hope for some binkage. And 7 AM here, so I still have a little bit of go left in me since we're playing these other tables anyway. Well, it's very small. I think I'm going to fold still. I was going to call the big blind, obviously, if you had a jammed anyway. I think that's a play you can make a lot, especially when the player hasn't shown a tendency to be too aggro. And it does look a little bit strong, I think. You can just raise into the short stack and then just call anyway if they jam. A lot of times they fold, and when they do call, then you know, you're getting pot odds, and it's not really a mistake. A little bit too strong to fold there, the king queen, against that specific stack size, I think, and the fact that we've kind of been pretty active for the last few orbits. It's not looking good. Can't win all ins. It's very hard to win these key pots. Poker gods will not allow it. Quite a key pot there. Would have had us still maintaining a very solid chip lead. As it is, we've been pulled down. King Queen loses and then the Ace King. Both could have been... it's very hard to build the monster stack. Poker gods forbid the monster stack. And very hard to pull it off. But we shall battle and try our best to get there. Do have the bubble coming up kind of soon, so... So $11 rebuy for the nightly 35 grand. And it's pretty good value. Kind of surprised he called that on the flop there. He might just have ace rag and just not folding. He could have, I guess, 4-5 suited or something, ace 4. Of course, he can have 10 jack, jack 8, jack 9. He probably limps with all that stuff. He's been limping a small blind a bit, so I thought he's probably folding enough to make the raise profitable. But he did fold before when I raised. I did do it before, and we've tangled kind of a little bit. So I thought I was a little bit worried he might be a little bit angry about it all. A little bit emotional and not willing to fold, but I think we probably get enough folds over the line. It's a little bit worrying that he had a flush draw and he missed with, 7-10 of clubs or something. That's a bit of a concern. But at the same time, I don't really want to test it out, I think. But it does kind of look like a small bet to win, doesn't it? Yeah, I mean, I wonder if yeah. I think actually shoving there is not too bad because well, unless he's going to call with a 4, then it's bad. But wow, that's just it's just a really bad spot to be in. We open from second with a king jack. Wow, 631. Wow, that is such an awkward spot. That's really bad. I think I'm going to fold. But this guy's kind of loose and he's M6. He's probably he might be pushing 7s and stuff like that. But wow, wow, it's pretty close. He hasn't actually. I mean, he hasn't shown a crazy tendency or anything. We've got so sick PL on the bottom left now, so that's kind of interesting that he's here. He's a very good player. almost jam here, but I just slightly beyond. I mean, this guy I think is stealing pretty wide here. It says 40, but with our stack size, he might even choose to go a little bit beyond that to 50. And I think if I was Queen 4 suited, I might actually jam. I think we'd just get so many folds. Any king, suited king, any ace, and suited queens, and Queen 9 or Queen 8 maybe off up. Queen 8, Queen 9 up. Suited connectors probably 5, 6 up. I would have been really wide with that range there, jamming. But Queen 4 off is probably just, yeah, just not quite the one. This is a really tough spot here. 23, and we need about 40% equity, right? I think we need about 40% equity because of all the dead money. And you could be opening a little bit on the wide side. So, could have small pairs, you could have King Jacks, King 10, 10 Jacks. 40%, I think I'm going to take it. It's pretty marginal, but I mean, we're only M2-ish, can't be bad. With all the dead money out there, I mean, providing he's not a nit, and he can have some King Jacks and King 10 suited and King Queens and small pairs and stuff in his opening range, I mean, it can't be that bad. And I mean, he could even have some smaller aces and stuff. As it was, he has quads. Yeah. Wow. I think we're going to raise here. Try and protect our hand. He might spaz out though. So it could put us in a really tricky spot if he does spaz out. It's a bad card. I think he has King High a lot here. I think he has King High a lot, just doesn't believe us. He could have small diamonds. He could even have Queen High and just not believe us. He limps so often that... Could have a 5 as well, I guess. He limps so often that this guy's really sticky and annoying. Yeah, I mean, he just limps so often that I think that we have the best hand on the flop just so often. But when he calls, we have to presume he's got at least King High, flush draw, King High, maybe Jack Queen, Queen 10 if he's feeling really loose, which he could be, I think, this guy. He seems pretty fishy to me with his limping. And he's definitely not going to believe us on the flop when we raise. He's going to be like, there's no way you have anything. I think is going to be his thinking. Because you didn't re-raise pre-flop, and the board's ace 5, so you can't have anything. Because he doesn't. I don't think he would expect us to raise a 5. But you know, I think it's completely fine just because we're so sure we're good. Well, Queen's come, it's a bad card. He could have a Queen, but I don't think I'm folding if he bets river with a King High. As it was, he had 6-10. But never took a stab, so pretty fishy. If you're going to play those sorts of hands, you have to try and win pots, I think, when you have the opportunity to go for it. Yeah, let's get some notes going. He is from Greece, that guy, Bowl of Steel. Give him the purple fish colour because I think he played the 6-10 defend and just never stabbing and the snap checking. and he's from Greece, I think we can just automatically say he's a massive fish. And end of story. And the other guy, I think we can probably give massive fish as well, just based on his limping tendencies. Player notes. Limps a lot. Limps a lot, especially from small blind. Likes to tango. And seems like a huge fish. I give him the donkey instead of the purple. It's kind of a subtle difference, I think, but the Bowl of Steel guy is kind of like, I mean, he defends with 610, and then he just checks, check, snap check. Like, he seems like he's sort of called just to hit, and he just limp jam nines. I think he's definitely probably a fish, but I think the other guy, the difference is that the Kiosti guy is a huge, like, donkey, like, will just spew off very suddenly everything. Yeah, I think he really will just... The Kiosti is kind of like the King 6 snapping guy that from the last final table one. I think it's just kind of an emotional player that just has it in his head often that, okay, no, he can't have anything, or no, this, just thinks... without logic, and will just make massive mistakes. Whereas I don't think the other guy would necessarily just spaz out and just dump a stack, but I think Kiosti is very capable of just handing a stack over. Wow, interesting spot top left. I kind of feel like this guy goes, hey, he bet small, he's got nothing, and he's just being a big fish. But at the same time, I mean, yeah, I mean, it's pretty close. I don't really, I think, want to... well, I mean, we could almost call, I guess, with 2-8. But there is a small chance that he has a monster. Kind of close. We could do many different things there, I guess. I mean, we just don't really know anything about him. It seemed like he was being a fish, but we have raised UTG, so I mean, he could have well, kind of close here. This guy's really been opening a lot, hasn't he? 6 of 12. I mean, he could have a hand like an overpair, but I don't even know if he would mini raise it like that, but he might for information, but then not fold. Sometimes these fish is like they min raise for information, but they're getting information, but they're just never folding anyway. They see it all the time. So I mean, he could have a small pair, and he just thinks, okay, I probably have the best hand. If we jam on him, well, I mean, it's kind of pretty. Well, I mean, we still have M6 here, right? Ish. So, I mean, it's a little bit risky, I think. He shouldn't really be doing it with sets. I mean, check min raising the flop. I mean, he could, but yeah, I mean, quads. How's that? I mean, some players, I guess, might, but I mean, I would really expect just a check call with a set, so he might just be thinking we bet small, but generally I think you get away with a small bet. I think especially more so these days than before. I think like a few years ago players would always raise a small bet, like just oh, he's bet small, he has nothing. But I think now a lot of players have realized that small bets, they're kind of, I think, heard of, well, they might not even have heard of like balance and things like that, but they just figure, I think, that players these days can be a little bit trickier, or aren't necessarily betting as obvious, and so that when someone bets small, it's not necessarily going to represent the strength of the hand. I think players these days realize that other players mix it up a bit more and have maybe sometimes bet small with big hands and small hands kind of thing, if that makes any sense. Probably going to try and get how many barrels here? 3, I guess. Yeah. It's a little bit risky against the big donk, but I don't think... I think his range is pretty wide, so he can have a lot of different types of hands. And he just snap folded, so he may have seen the small bet as well and attacked, but he yeah. But it was a pretty good board for check raising, I must admit. The Jack 8X with the 2 clubs was a pretty nice board, I think, for a check raise. Ace King, Ace Queen, Ace 10, King Queen, small pairs, lots of hands that we're in kind of trouble with, so